13 Days of Horror. Let's start this series with a smash. Hi fellow makeup fiends and welcome to 13 Days of Horror. Today's tutorial is actually going to be a special effects makeup tutorial. So as you can see, I have a full face of makeup on, so you might be wondering what I'm going to do. I'm going to take all this off and put something else on, and I'm not. Today I'm actually working with a full face of ordinary makeup, and I'm actually going to apply some special effects on top of that, and I'm hoping that it's going to look quite good. It's just kind of a concept idea, so we'll have to wait and see what it turns out like. But what I'm going to be using is the Humble Clear Plate from Wilko's. I got a pack of 10 of these for £1.50 and they are clear plastic. And I am going to use this to make what looks like shards of glass. Now I've actually got a little video playing up here right now, and that's actually showing how I broke this down. So I did put a towel on the floor and I put this in between the towel, and then we stood on it and we pressed on it, and eventually we used a hammer on it to get the smaller pieces. But it was very important to actually cover it with a towel, because when you're snapping this or trying to snap this, shards of it can fly off and you don't want it to go into your eyes. It can be very, very dangerous because even plastic can be very sharp. So we actually were very careful about how we broke it, and we basically ended up with a bunch of lovely pieces of clear plastic. We couldn't use the ones around here where the crease is, or the ones around the edge, because there's a little bit of a ridge there, but we used the bits from the inner part. So there wasn't a massive amount actually once you broke it down of usable pieces, but there was enough to do this tutorial. So I hope that you enjoy it. And what I'm going to be using in this tutorial is spirit gum to fix the clear plastic pieces. I'm going to use some special effects wax, and I'm going to use that for a very large piece. And the reason I'm doing that is because with the density of the glass, with a larger piece, if it was flying towards your face, it's going to go in deeper and you would have some skin kind of coming up and opening up around that piece of glass. So a larger piece will have some wax around it. I'm using a cryolan wheel. It's just to put the darkness inside the wound. I'm using Ben Nye Fresh Blood Gel, which is gorgeous looking. Let me just show you. That is what it looks like. Kind of looks like jam. It's amazing. And that's it there. Just put my finger in it. And that is going to go onto the wounds, and that stays wet and it looks nice and glossy and sticky and gooey and icky. So that looks great. I'm also going to be using some theatre blood, which is actually by Snazaroo. And that's going to run out of some of the wounds and down my face. And I'm going to use a couple of brushes to apply. So I've got some old brushes that I no longer use. And I also have an eyeliner to mark where the pieces of plastic are going, so I can just draw a line between there, and then I won't go over the edge of that, because I don't want loads of spirit gum all over my face where things aren't stuck to it. So this could be very interesting. Oh, and I've also got my trusty spoon, because I use the edges of this for the wax to sort of smooth out the edges. So why don't we stop waffling and get on with it. Okay, so I'm going to put the affected area on this side of the face, because my hair generally hangs down this side, and the idea of the concept is that I've just been chucked through a glass window or had something smashed on my head or something like that, so I'm a victim. Like you don't demonstrate too much. Right, so we're going to do the large piece first. I don't know why I said large. This is the large piece. It's quite difficult to show you this because it's see-through. I think that's the largest piece. Right, so what you want to do is you want to plot where you're going to put it. I don't know. I think possibly there. It could be a little difficult for you to see, but hopefully I'll be able to take some photographs at the end. Yeah, we're going to put it there. And I'm going to put wax around it. So I'm actually going to place the wax first, but first I need to mark the face where it's going. So I've got my trusty zero liner, which is absolutely minuscule, and I'm going to place that one mark there, and I'm going to go over this with wax and blood, so okay. I've drawn a bit of a line as well because it's going to make life easier if I can actually see exactly where I'm going. Okay, it's not a straight line, but it's okay. Okay, wax. So, this is Snazaroo wax. It's so hard, it's really difficult to work with. And I generally just get this out with the end of the spoon. I have actually ordered some Maron wax, which I've never used before. Apparently Ben Nye is amazing, so I might have to get that and try that at some point. And that comes out actually in skin colour, whereas this is just like white, so you have to colour it, which is a bit of a pain. So yeah, I'm looking forward to trying the Maron. I only got a small sample of it, but I'm probably going to end up investing in Ben Nye for next year. Right, so I've moisturised my hands so I can get this going and it's not going to stick to me because wax has a terrible habit of just sticking to you. What you basically want to do is just roll it and start to get it warm so that you can get some sort of movement in it. And then I'm just moulding it. Right, so that's that, and it's actually quite difficult to work with even when it's on your face because it can move around a bit. So we'll have a go and see if I can just sort of smooth these edges out a little bit. And then if I'm going to have problems, I might just have to take it off and stick it with spirit gum. Okay, so I've smoothed the edges out a little bit there. And I'm going to leave that for a little bit because I like with wax for it kind of just to set a little bit to the face. Right, and then we're going to go ahead and just stick on some of the smaller pieces. So I'm going to use spirit gum. And again, I need to use the liner just to mark the places where the little shards are going to go. And it's just a case of kind of mapping out where you think that they're going to look really good. Like this one's quite pointy. I think this one will look really quite good close to the eye. So I'm going to get the liner. Right, so taking the spirit wax, which is again spirit gum, which is from Snazaroo. I'm going to coat the edge of the plastic with it. If it goes over the edges, it's no problem. I like this piece because it's got some shards, like sort of, it's shattered in it. And then I'm just going to pop that onto the eyeliner. And then what you're waiting for is for it to go slightly tacky. That's when you're going to get the best results and it's actually going to glue better. So wave these things about till we start to feel it going tacky. And then stick it on and hold it. So just place that on, if you can see there. I'm just holding that in place just till it sets. With some of these small pieces, I'm not going to mark the skin because they're just so small. I'm going to be able to see exactly where I am. Just going to put my finger underneath where that is, just so I'm quite reminded where I've just gone. And then, just like I said, once it starts to go tacky, that's when you want to put the two together. Not when they're wet, it's when they start to go tacky, and that's when it's really at its stickiest. And then it's just a case of holding it in place just for a minute, or, well, not even a minute or two, just a minute to just kind of make sure that it sticks. Okay. Right, now I'm going to use the spoon and go into this wax and just create a line. No, this is easier said than done. Actually, I'm just going to force the glass into there because it's going to be easier. Okay, so that's pressed in there. So I'll go ahead and add the rest of the glass and then we'll come back and start to add the gore and the wound, the blood detail. Okay. So I hope you don't mind, I can't talk properly because where I've got that one stuck. Hope you don't mind I've kind of done that off camera just because it is quite time consuming to get all these shards kind of stuck in there. Hopefully you can see. I think you'll see better once I start get some blood around them. But you can see that they're kind of stuck straight into the face. I think they even look quite cool now. So I'm going to use a little bit of foundation on this brush, which is a concealer brush. And I just want to take that around the edges of this wax. And I ended up having to put a bit of wax behind this one as well. The bigger pieces of the plastic did need a bit of support, so that's just those two pieces. And it still looks effective with even the smaller bits stuck in there as well. So I'm just going to let those dry for a little bit longer so the pattern around them isn't going to disturb them too much. And then we're going to come back and let's start getting gory. Okay, it's time to use the Kryolan wheel. And I'm going to use the dark burgundy colour first. And I'm going to use this around the edges of the glass. So that is the dark burgundy around all of them. Now I want to clean off this brush quickly with a wipe. And then I want to go in with the bright red kind of around the wounds. Just because that's kind of where the skin is very sore and there's been some fresh blood, and yeah, so the dark red's really quite dried. Okay, so I've been a bit more random with where that's gone, just because you want it to look, I guess, a bit more real in a way. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a cotton bud, which is slightly dampened, and then we're going to rub that on those red areas. So now I'm going to put on some of the Ben Nye Fresh Blood. And I'm actually just going to apply this to the large wound on top of the wax. Just because I think the lighter ones, where it hasn't gone in quite so much, there's been some bleeding, but it's not quite as much as this one here. Okay, I'm going to put a bit of the fresh blood around my mouth and nose. Taking the Kryolan bruise wheel and the dark blue, I'm just going to put a bit of this under the eye. And then using the other brush, just going to smudge that out and onto the inner eye. And then with the same brush I'm going to go in for like the yellowy colour and just pop that there as well. Because if you did have an impact on that side of your face, often an impact to the face can result in a black eye. So we'll go with adding just a little bit of colour just to the eye area, just to make it look a bit more sinister. And then we're now on to some theatre blood. So this is the end of the tutorial really. So this is just runny blood. I wish it had a pipette type thing, because we're just gonna get quite messy now. I think I'll just put my brush into it and just do it that way. finally got a bleed. Excuse me. The great thing about this blood is that it's very, very runny. And that is the Snazaroo gel blood. Sorry, not theatre blood. The theatre blood is a lot thinner. And that's it. That is the end result. So I'll come in closer for you. You can see all those plastic shards there sticking up. And that is what it looks like. This bit here is really quite effective. And hopefully that skin just looks quite, you know, angry, and as you can see, the skin just looks really, you know, it looks like it hasn't just happened. You've got darkness around the wounds, but then you've got some fresh blood still running from different places. And yeah, I really like how it's turned out. So that's it for today's tutorial. That is special effects fake glass wound or glass injury. Though it's technically like not a horror character, it's kind of an injury that may happen in a horror movie. So that's kind of, I wanted to do something different this year, and then I wasn't doing characters, I wanted to do some special effects stuff as well. And I really like how it's turned out, so hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching as always. Don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe. I'm gonna love and leave you, and I'm gonna see you all soon. Bye. Oh, my first intro was awesome! This tutorial is the tale of two halves. This half and this one.